Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello, and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. A very exciting week happening here in sports. A lot of sports teams have now qualified for tournament. You're going to see a lot of the tournament teams start their play next week. Yes, some of these teams are going to be ready to start their tournament play next week. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Albert Hearing Services, 33 Waddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant on Avenue A in Turners Falls. Also want to thank our producer, John Meisner, and also Philippe Simone, also the staff here at GCTV for everything they do for us, and Chris Collins down at the FCAT in South Deerfield. Well, why don't we get started here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report here today? Well, looks like the sisters of Alina and Azamina Chichionen ended up bearing a couple of second-half goals, and Pioneer Valley Regional continues its strong run of recent play with a 2-0 victory over Greenfield last Monday. A big win for them. You know, Pioneer, as of last Monday, they were 3-1-2 in their last 6 games, allowing just 9 goals in those 6 games, including a pair of shutouts. Matter of fact, they're now 3-5-3 as of last Monday. And I'll tell you, these girls have done a wonderful job, and a big congratulations goes out to them. Greenfield still having a chance to make tournament, even though with that loss, they'd have to do some good things. Later in the week, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Their goalkeeper, Dina Samaki, ended up with 20 saves in the loss for the Wave. Well, it looks like 2 games against McCann Tech this season turned out to be 2 wins for the Mohawk girls soccer team as they end up winning 3-2. According to their coach, Stephen Tomey, he said that the girls have been playing hard. Their team has won a couple of nice contests against McCann Tech. They won last month 4-3. Of course, they just won this one 3-2 last Monday. Mohawk, as of last Monday, was 2-9-2 on the season. Looks like Taylor Loomis and Liliana Manley ended up doing a nice job getting some tallies in this one. Also, we want you to know that Maya Rice-LaSure and Sage Spritzer notched assists in the win for Mohawk, which received 5 saves from Amelia Rao. She was in the net. Well, in boys soccer on Monday, Pioneer boys, they beat Granby 4-0. Another nice win for them. They're going to playoffs, so that's a big sign for this team. They're going to be fine in the playoffs, too. They have a lot of guys that are really good on this program. Matter of fact, they outshot Granby. Check this out, 18-1. Ryan Underwood, he had pretty much an easy day, only had to make 1 save in the net for Pioneer. Looks like Nate Mousseau, he got the scoring started with a nice assist from Joel Embry. Also, Jack Loud scored. He did that on an assist from Noah Keith. Garrett Cody scored from Alex Taylor. And then Embry, he ended up scoring with an assist from Cody later in the game. 4-0 Pioneer over Granby boys soccer on Monday. Well, Sabas knocked off Greenfield. Final score was 7-1. Really tough loss for the Wave. I could tell you that Ricardo Romero ended up getting the lone goal for Greenfield. He was assisted by Henry Zeward. Looks like Alice Carballo ended up with 10 saves in the net for Greenfield. Well, it looks like on Monday, Mohawk Trails girls field hockey team continued their hot play as they ended up knocking off Mahar 7-1. Wow, they have been unbelievable lately. And Caitlin Johnston, she's been a big part of it. How about her? 4 goals and 1 assist to lead the way for this hot Warriors team. They got a lot of things to be proud of right now. This team has really turned things around. I can't believe where this team started and where they are today. It really says a lot about what this team has been able to do. So congratulations, Mohawk girls, on that big win on Monday against Mahar. Well, Southwick knocked off Turners Falls. A tough loss for them, and boy, it came with a late goal that really ended up being the difference in this one. Southwick picks up that victory. Turners, as of last Monday, 9-5 and 4-3 in conference play. We can let you know that the hot play of Cassidy Wozniak continued. She had a chance to be able to score off an assist from Cece Wood. And nice job for Wood as well, as she ended up with a goal. And I can also tell you that she's been good this year. Haley Green, 12 stops in the net for Turners. Amherst knocked off the Franklin County Tech School in field hockey. Final score was 2-0. Looks like Kylie Bolano ended up with 7 saves in the net for the Eagles. Well, in girls volleyball on Monday last week, Turners Falls knocked off Marhar 3-2. And I'll tell you, visiting Marhar really battled back to force that 5th game that they wanted, to see if they can be able to pull off that opportunity of the win. I'll tell you right now, it was a close one, but Turners Falls did pick up the win, which was big for them because as of last Monday, they were 11-4, 5-0 in league play. Tell you, they ended up having 20 assists, 4 aces, and 4 digs from setter Haley Bogus. Also, Taylor Murphy and Dabney Rollins, they put down 11 kills apiece and combined for 3 blocks. Sarah Waldron ended up recording a team-high 10 aces, including 3 kills. Mercedes Morales, she ended up with 5 kills. Lindsay Whiteman, she powered the defense with a nice effort, doing a great job with her passing and her serves. This team is a very good team. We'll see how things go. Playoffs are coming soon for the Turners girls volleyball team. Well, Mohawk girls, they knocked off Pioneer girls. Final score was 3-0 last Monday. Ashley Reynolds ditched out 18 assists. That is huge. To go with 5 kills, 6 aces, and 2 digs. Her all-around strong play was a big reason why they end up beating Pioneer. Kayla Martin ended up having a match-high 9 kills for the Warriors, which received 5 kills apiece from Julia Massey and Jordan Rice. Massey tallied 8 aces and a pair of digs, and Rice followed with 6 digs and an ace. Pioneer was led by 4 kills, 3 blocks on the night from Kiana McGraw, and Annika Tormanen ended up with 3 aces and a dig in the loss for the Panthers. Well, looks like Smith Vogt picked up a victory over the Franklin County Tech. Final score was 3-2, and it was a tough one for the Tech school to lose this one. They were hoping for a better deal on this one. It didn't work out the way they were hoping, but let's give credit where credit's due. Summer Gaddrow continues to do what she has been doing all season long. She has been well. 5 kills to go with 3 digs and a block for the Eagles. Kimberly Petrovich, she ends up with 4 kills, 3 aces, and 4 digs, as well as an assist. And Emily Ryan ended up with 4 aces, 3 kills, and a pair of assists for the Tech school. Well, they had some golf on Monday. Turners Falls knocks off St. Mary's 17.5 to 6.5. Franklin County Tech School, they end up knocking off Pathfinder 13.5 to 0.5, and they knocked off St. Mary's 19.5 to 4.5. We'll go over those individual scores right now. Pathfinder versus the Tech. Here we go. Your goal, the medalist of the day, goes to Mike Patnode with a 40. Mike McGoldrick with a 43. Nate Pelletier with a 43. Ryan Artis with a 45. Anthony Zager with a 47. And Jacob Shaw with a 49. Well, in that St. Mary's versus Tech matchup, Patnode ends up in second with that 40. McGoldrick with a 43. Pelletier 43. Artis 45. Zager 47. And Shaw 49. They ended up respectfully going right in that order to be able to dominate that play. So congratulations goes out to these guys on an excellent season. They are now winding down the regular season, and next week we'll be able to talk about how they do in their playoff run. That's right, the playoffs are happening this week. Well, I got to tell you, it may have been another preview of the Western Mass Division II Field Hockey Championship, because on Tuesday it was a fun one. And it was Greenfield taking on the Frontier Lady Redhawks, and it turned out to be a win for Greenfield, 2-1 over at Vets Field. The game pitted arguably the 2 best teams that are in Western Mass Division II, which I will tell you has turned out to be a very nice rivalry between these 2 teams. And here's how it goes. They ended up having a lot of fun things that happened in this game, but the biggest thing was the challenge that was given to Greenfield by this Redhawks team. According to Erin Thayer, she says this was a good challenge for us. Offensively, we pushed the ball and pressured the ball the way we do. We just didn't recover the way we need to in order to keep the ball at our end. But We did it well, we got it done, and we did what we needed to win. In the end, we pick up the victory 2-1. Sam Smith made 6 saves to earn the victory in the net for Greenfield. And what about Skylar Berniski? She ended up with 10 saves for Frontier. Let's talk about scoring. How did it all go in this one? Well, things remained scoreless until the second half. That's when Katie Hazelton swatted home a rebound off of the pads of Skylar Berniski to get the scoring going. Then Audrey Brusciano scored unassisted to make it 2-0. And Olivia Vasilio, she scored with 1:29 left to play with an assist from Lily Spencer. Greenfield is still undefeated in league play, only 1 loss on the year. And let me tell you, this Frontier team, don't let this record fool you. They're 8-4-2, but they've played some great teams in Division I. They are 5-1-1 in league play. The 2 top teams, no doubt. Well, on Tuesday, Athol tied the Franklin County Tech as Peter Saladino scored in the second half to give the Franklin County Tech its first point of the season. Turned out to be pretty nice, and good old Kylie Boleno ended up with 10 saves in the net for the Tech school. Nice win for the Tech. Glad they ended up pulling off that victory that they've been looking for this year. They win over Athol. Well, in girls cross country on Tuesday, it was Mohawk knocking off Gateway. Final was 15-48. Megan Davis won, yes, with a time of 23 minutes and 35 seconds. Also in there was Erica Sluzwick. She ended up being in second place with a time of 23 minutes and 36 seconds. Erica Lumen was third at 24 minutes and 30 seconds. Carly Cusimano was fourth place at 25 minutes and 5 seconds. Caitlin Upton, fifth place, 25 minutes and 6 seconds. Savannah Simmons was sixth, 25 minutes, 22 seconds. Sierra Upton was ninth for Mohawk with a time of 26 minutes and 49 seconds. And Kira Goodall ended up being in 10th place with a time of 27 minutes and 4 seconds. Well, Pope Francis ends up knocking off Greenfield. Final score in girls cross country was 23-32, and Munson beat Greenfield 25-30. Give you a little rundown that Louisa Colamon ended up being second place for Greenfield. Suffered a couple of losses right there. And I'll tell you, a girl who's had a great year for them as well is Candace Liu. She ended up finishing fifth for the Wave. Frontier ends up knocking off McCann Tech. They win in girls as well, and they knock off Granby 15-49. Frontier had 9 runners out of the top 10 that made it home first. It all started with Angelina England. She ended up continuing her hot play with a time of 21 minutes and 28 seconds. Marie Diamond, she was second, 21 minutes and 55 seconds. Leah Gump took third, 21 minutes and 58 seconds. Abigail Howard was fourth, 21 minutes and 58 seconds. Fiona Fury, she took fifth at 22 minutes and 11 seconds. Fiona Howes, sixth place, 22 minutes and 35 seconds. Juliet Keith ends up being in eighth place, 23 minutes and 46 seconds. Leah Vici, ninth place, 23 minutes and 47 seconds. And Emily Luce ends up in 10th, 24 minutes, 15 seconds. Well, on the boys' side, it was Gateway knocking off Mohawk. No, matter of fact, it came down to one last opportunity for Mohawk to get someone across the finish line. Ends up being a tie. It was 28-28, Mohawk and Gateway. Dennis Simmons won the race for Mohawk with a time of 20 minutes, 25 seconds. Guy Rice-LaSure ends up second place, 20 minutes and 29 seconds. Sean O'Day, fifth place for Mohawk with a time of 21 minutes and 58 seconds. And Connor Bailey was ninth, 23 minutes, 21 seconds. Pope Francis knocked off Greenfield, and Munson knocked off Greenfield. It was 2 losses for the Wave, but Tyson LeBombard continues his hot running this year, ends up fourth place for Greenfield, but the Wave falls at Highland Park. Greenfield had 3 other runners to crack the top 10. Alex Terrell ends up coming in 8th with a time of 20 minutes and 9 seconds. Dylan Badilio ends up 9th place, 20 minutes and 11 seconds. And Andy Bostrom, 10th place, 20 minutes, 13 seconds. Frontier continues their hot play. They beat Granby 20-41, and they win 15-50 in cross country. Frontier wrapped up the Pioneer North title on Tuesday. Congratulations goes out to them. The two brothers, Karsten Carey and Peter Carey, they were the two guys to cross first. Looks like this, 17 minutes and 40 seconds. These guys ended up running together. How cool is that? Two bros running hard in a race, and they both crossed the finish line together. Alex Sharp finished 4th overall for Frontier, ends up with a time of 17 minutes and 51 seconds. Looks like Gary Brinda ends up with the 6th place finish at 18 minutes and 39 seconds. George Bayless, 7th place, 18 minutes and 47 seconds. Brett Robinson was 8th with a time of 18 minutes and 49 seconds. Patrick Boyden was 9th, 18 minutes and 56 seconds. And Koski ends up in 10th, 18 minutes and 52 seconds. Great job. Frontier, the cross-country team, does it again. Well, freshman John Worley scored his first career varsity goal. Nice job, Johnny. Ow! And his team does well. They end up winning 3-1. It was a nice win over Holyoke, and a congratulations for him picking up his first varsity goal. Frontier needed that win, though. It turned out to be a big one for them. Nice win. Tim Barrington set up Worley. So Woolley ended up with that first career goal. Good old John Woolley ends up being a very happy man picking up that goal. Connor Bagden ends up making it 2-0 with an assist from Doug Hanoski. Looks like also Hanoski scored 8 minutes later. He ends up scoring with an assist from Kip Newman. It's a big victory for them, something that they needed so they can qualify for tournament. Peter Bronke had 4 saves in the victory. Well, the Franklin County Tech School continued their hot play. Look out. These guys are tough, man. They say, as of Tuesday, make it a dozen. That is 12 consecutive victories. That's right. 12 wins in a row as of Tuesday for the Tech boys. 3-0 win over McCann Tech. Looks like here's how it goes. Giovanni Ricciano, he ended up scoring 1 in the first half and 1 in the second half. And they end up winning nicely, 3-0. He had a nice assist from Ryan Campbell. In the second, Campbell scored on a nice assist from Tony Baroloni. Ricciano ended up finished the scoring with an assist from Jake Burnett. Eagles outshot McCann Tech, no problem in this one. Matter of fact, Kurt Richardson says, our defense has been strong all year. The field conditions were pretty tough, but the kids were out there. They were loose. They did a nice job. We had enough offense to be able to win. And look at the result. 12 wins in a row for the Tech as of Tuesday. Well, in girls soccer, looks like Frontier took on Athol back on Tuesday. And Natalie Denkowitz and Jess Risley ended up scoring twice. And they beat Athol 5-1. Red Hawks continue their hot play. They are definitely going to tournament. Well, the Hamp Charter School ended up taking on the Franklin County Tech girls, and the Tech girls get beaten this one 5-1. Kate Garcia scored an unassisted goal in the first half for the Eagles. The Eagles are a little bit struggling right now, but still have a chance for tournament play. Ware ends up taking on Mohawk. It was all Ware in this one, 5-0. Amelia Rao ended up with 10 saves in the goal for Mohawk. Well, the Hawks inch closer to perfection. We're talking about in golf, that is, as that golf team continues their winning ways. So they end up continuing to be one of the hottest programs around. We'll talk about how they did in their match on Tuesday. Mohawk knocked off Central 18-0. Franklin County Tech over McCann Tech 13-11. Munson beat Turner's Falls 14.5-4.5. And Ware beat Greenfield 16-8. Matter of fact, let's get right into it, guys. Let's run it down here. In boys golf, Chicopee versus Frontier. Frontier wins easily on this one, 21-3. Mikey Kordoff ends up with a 42. He is also in there with Kyle Maynard with a 42. Porter Clancy with a 42. Gunnar Moore with a 43. Kalen Evans with a 45. And Brian Bowman with a 52. In that matchup between Mohawk and Central, all Mohawk in this one. Tristan Lacrosse ends up with a 31. Will Guyette with a 32. Andy Robertson with a 33. Ben Thompson, 33. Aiden Drury with a 42. Gage Patnode with a 50. In that Turner's matchup against Munson, where Turner's got beat 19.5-4.5, Alex Sulda ends up with a 45. Joey Mosca with a 51. Brian Poirier with a 52. Tyler Noyce with a 61. Joe Koshin with a 61. And Aiden Bailey with a 62. Franklin County Tech, easy win over McCann Tech. Not really. They only win 13-11. But Nate Pelletier, he is your medalist with a 39. Mike Patnode with a 43. Mike McGoldrick with a 44. Anthony Sager with a 49. Ryan Artis with a 51. And Jacob Shaw with a 52. And Greenfield losing to Ware 16-8. Ryan Cody ends up with a 42. Gabe LaRoche with a 47. Cam Baird with a 49. Jake Cody with a 53. Rari Maloney, Rari ends up with a 66. And Jake Frank with a 76. So there you go. Boy, we're cruising right along. It is the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, and I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you into our show here today. Lots to talk about as we cruise through the fall season. Things are starting to wind down. All you got to do is go outside, and you're starting to feel the temperature changes, aren't you? Oh, big time around here. Wonder where fall really did show up, because I don't remember any fall weather. Seemed like summer went right into winter as far as I'm concerned. Want to welcome you here today as we share all these great sports scores with these great athletes. Want to thank our wonderful underwriters, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by our friends at Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Thank you so much, John Meisner. Thank you so much, Philippe Simone. Let's get right into it. It continued into Wednesday. Well, Wednesday in a rematch of 3 Western Mass Championships between these teams. It was another thriller, but this one was up in the Berkshires. Here you go. It was Frontier continuing its dominance over Lee, but check these scores out. Game 1, they win 25-16. They lose Game 2, 23-25. They win Game 3, 25-13. They lose Game 4, 21-25. Win Game 5, 15-12. Great stuff. These guys are really fun to watch. Tell you right now, the Wildcats are 13-3. Frontier 16-1 on the season. Lee is definitely an opponent that Sean McDonald and his squad knows can make noise. They got to continue to play big. The Red Hawks trailed 7-2 in the 5th set, but came all the way back and took care of business. Exciting match with lots of big swings of points. Matter of fact, Lauren Davenport came through with arguably her best performance of the season with the win. Matter of fact, she put down 26 kills, adding 10 digs to lead the way. Olivia Dean followed with 12 kills, 11 aces, and 13 digs. Another stellar outing by her. Ashley Talega, she tossed in 4 kills, 2 blocks. Haley Orlowski ends up with 3 kills. Setter Elizabeth Fuqua registered a whopping 40 assists for the Hawks. Riley Eisler, she ends up with 6 aces and 19 digs. Jalen Sullivan had a pair of blocks. Nice win for the Red Hawks. Well, Turners continued their dominance in league play. They knocked off Mohawk 3-1. 10 kills from Taylor Murphy. They end up remaining unbeaten in the Northern Division as of Wednesday. They win Game 1, 25-15. They end up losing Game 2, 15-25. Win Game 3, 25-23. And then 25-8 in the final game. 3-1, Turners wins in this one. Murphy also added 3 aces, 3 digs in the win for the Thunder. Don't forget about Haley Bogus. How about this? 18 assists and 4 aces. Ashley Reynolds ends up with 12 assists, 5 kills, 7 digs, and 4 aces. Octava Crawford, she ends up with 2 kills and 2 blocks. Kayla Martin with 4 kills and 9 digs. Jordan Rice, 9 digs, 4 aces, and 2 kills. There you go. Thunder rolling on with a win over Mohawk. Well, looks like Mahar took care of Greenfield. No problem in their matchup, 3-0. Greenfield ended up still getting some great play that they've had throughout the year from Lexi Rao. She ends up with 10 assists and a kill. So nice job done by her. Danielle Lively ends up with 2 aces and 3 digs. Denise Montajo ends up with 4 aces. And they were the contributors for the Wave in the loss. Looks like Athol knocked off Pioneer. Very easy in this one. Final was 3-0. Pioneers only have one win so far on the year, but they did have a team high, 7 kills from Kiana McGraw. She also added 4 aces and 3 blocks in a very solid outing. Avery Johnson ended up following with 3 aces and 5 digs. Autumn Flagg ended up tossing in 5 assists and 4 kills in the loss. Well, in field hockey, Franklin County Tech ends up beating Pioneer 1-0. Yes, the Franklin County Tech ends up getting another victory. Congratulations goes out to them. You know, it was Shelby Cutting who ended up taking a feed from Jordan Herbert and buried the shot to lift the Franklin County Tech to the 1-0 victory. Well, can't go wrong. Tech's pretty excited right now because in their last couple of games, they've been able to make some noise. Matter of fact, their coach, Ryan Lovett, says that they're very excited about how the team has been playing lately. Definitely have seen the improvement. Nice. She says, honestly, this was the most offensive game that we've had all year long. We kept the ball in their zone for most of the day. Congratulations goes out to that nice victory of the Tech School with their win over Pioneer. Well, it looks like Turner's Falls and Mahar ended up having a 4-4 tie. So how that rolled out for you is that Turner's is now 9-5-1 as of last Wednesday. Of course, they're in playoffs. There you go. Turner's girls, they're in. The Thunder getting excited. Well, after Cassidy Wozniak and Kate Belanger buried back-to-back goals within a minute of each other, all of a sudden Turner started to take the lead. Then good old Mahar came back, and then, of course, they get a couple more goals, which made it really sweet. Matter of fact, Wozniak picked up another goal, and Paige Sulda ends up with a nice goal assisted by Lindsay Davenport. Haley Green with 11 saves for the Thunder as they end up tying 4-4 against Mahar on Wednesday. Well, Mohawk, they end up winning big. They continue their winning ways. They beat Palmer. Final score was 4-0. Well, Lynn Hopner's been very pleased with her team. She wanted to get in. She wants to be in playoffs. The girls are feeling it. Things have gotten really exciting. I'm very excited for this team. Caitlin Johnston, Avery Dupree, also Tess Rancourt, Courtney Allen, they have done a nice job this year, and they were the ones who scored for the Warriors. Well, in golf, it looks like Mohawk knocked off Pathfinder. It was 9.5 to 4.5 because they only played 6 holes because of rain on Wednesday. South Hadley took care of Mahar. Man, no problem in that one, 24-0. Also, we have some soccer scores for you as well, where Wacona ended up knocking off the Wave. Final score was 5-1. You know, I'm going to tell you, this Wave team has really had a lot of struggling going on, but there's been a lot of good moments for this team as well. Stryker ends up getting a goal, and I got to tell you what was cool is the first goal of the season for Zwart. Nice job, Henry. Henry Zwart picks up a nice first point in his soccer career at GHS. Alex Carballo, he had 11 saves for the Wave. Well, looks like Pioneer in Dugan. They battled, and it wasn't really much of a battle. It was all Pioneer in this one. Final score, 8-0. Yep, they're in. Pioneer, ready to go. 8 different players scored for Pioneer. Garrett Cody, Noah Keith, Jack Loud, Felix Pruitt-Dahl, Trey Frazier, Jason Quinn, Ryan Underwood, Ben Taylor. They all got it done. Nice job, guys. And in girls soccer, East Hampton knocked off Frontier. Final score was 1-0. Pioneer ends up tying McCann Tech. That was in girls play, and I can tell you that Paige Loftman, she ended up doing a nice job of being able to feed Azamina Kuchianen, and they end up making a statement. This team has done so well. Great job. I'm impressed with this Pioneer girls soccer team right now. After the beginning of a very shaky start, they've really started to pull it in together. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We're so glad you made it here today. It means we only have a couple more days to talk about from this past week. We got to talk about Thursday, and we got to talk about Friday. And let me tell you, it does come quick. And really, when we get into Friday, it's going to be a big talk because we got to talk football. And it seems like the last couple of weeks, our time has been really short. So we're really going to try to concentrate on some of these teams because a couple of these teams are making some noise to be able to make the playoffs, which is not easy to be able to do in football. We'll get to that in just a moment. Want to thank our underwriters, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, also by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. John Meisner and our good buddy, Philippe Simone, thank you, gentlemen, for keeping the wheels turning. Otherwise, we'd be in a lot of trouble because I seem to get stuck in the mud. All right, here we go. We talk Thursday. And lots of going on Thursday after a strong start to the season. Postseason hopes for the Greenfield High School girls soccer team were starting to dwindle. Why? Because they have lost 5 in a row. Well, on Thursday, they end up taking on Mohawk, and they picked up the victory. They're still alive and still have a chance to make it. Check this out, folks. How big was this game for the Wave girls? They have an opportunity to make the postseason for the first time in 15 years. 15 years! How sweet would this be for the Wave? Hope they can do it. Looks like Gateway ends up with a 0-0 tie against Frontier. Frontier definitely in playoff play. Dugan knocks off the Franklin County Tech in girls soccer. Final was 1-0. Matter of fact, Dan Prazall said, in his opinion, it was the best game of the year. Our girls worked hard. They really dug deep. And to only lose 1-0 says a lot about how hard this team worked. Boys soccer, Hopkins knocked off that really hot Franklin County Tech School team. But let me tell you something. Hopkins is a pretty good program here, folks. They're going to end up making playoffs too. So they got to realize that you got to play 65 to 70 minutes of hardcore soccer to be able to beat good teams. Coach, and I'm going to say that Coach Richardson said it best, I think we kind of surprised them a little bit of our quality of play. I don't think they expected how good we are. The Eagles are good, folks. 12-2 on the season. Well, looks like senior night provided the catalyst for Greenfield, which played its best games of the season. And it came out to be a tough one on senior night with the score, but the way the play was in boys soccer was good, even though South Hadley pulled off the 3-1 victory. Miles Ferreira ends up with 9 saves for Greenfield in the goal. Stryker ended up getting the lone goal for the Wave. Yeah, they've had a tough year, but I'm going to tell you what, man, they work hard. In field hockey, Frontier took on South Hadley, and they had a 1-1 tie. Very good game right there between them two. I can tell you that Frontier held the edge with the shots on goal, 14-12. Missy Marhar said that she was pleased with her team's effort. She says she thinks that we played well today. I think the level of intensity wasn't as high as it was the other day when we played Greenfield, but it still was there. Skylar Berniski with 11 saves for Frontier. Well, Greenfield, no problem with their win over Westfield. Wow. They end up winning 9-0. 4 goals from Reagan Hickey. 2 assists from Reagan as well. Audrey Brusciano with 2 goals and an assist. Olivia Joy scored twice. Katie Hazelton ripped a goal. Maddie Kacheski had an assist. Greenfield, 14-1 on the year. They bombed the Bombers in shots, too. 32-1. Man, guess Sam Smith got to relax in the net for the Wave. Well, Turners Falls ends up with a nice victory over Holyoke. They needed it. They win 4-0. Jade Tyler, she got a nice score in the net and really got things going for her team. Paige Sulda had a goal with 2 assists for the Thunder. Cassidy Wozniak ended up with a goal and an assist. Turners outshot Holyoke 12-8. Goalkeeper Haley Green, she stopped all 8 shots, picked up the shutout. Nice job for the Thunder. Well, Palmer ends up beating Pioneer. Final score was 2-0 in field hockey. Well, in girls volleyball, it was Mohawk over Athol. Final score was 3-1. Ashley Reynolds ends up with 8 kills, 11 assists, 4 digs, and 8 aces. Nice day for her. She helped Mohawk in the win. Also, Octava Crawford ends up with 6 kills in the win. Jordan Rice had 3 kills, 12 digs, and an ace. Cassidy Upton with 6 aces for Mohawk. They ended up improving as of Thursday to 5-11. Well, as we talk about how things can really happen, well, folks, that unbelievable golf team, that Frontier team, they got beat by an awesome team, South Hadley. South Hadley and them are the 2 dominant teams. You know, Munson's in there too as one of the top in this area, but these 2 schools went at it. Final score was 16-8, and South Hadley picked up the victory. According to Bill Fitzpatrick, he said the kids went in there with high hopes, but they just had a tough day out there. Hey, it happens. It's how it goes. But you know what? After that particular game against them, they had to get ready because this week they have their tournament. It's the Western Mass Division II Championships. Well, Smith Academy knocked off Mohawk 16-8. Ware knocks off Greenfield 19-5. Let's run down some of these golf scores for you on Thursday. Ryan Cody with a 42 for Greenfield. Hunter Roberts with a 42. Cam Baird with a 48. Gabe LaRoche with a 51. Jake Cody with a 56. Danny Provost with a 56 in the loss. Mohawk and Smith Academy. Mohawk ends up losing 16-8. Will Guyette with a 48. Ben Thompson with a 53. Andy Robertson with a 55. Tristan Lacrosse with a 56. Aiden Drury with a 65. And Gage Patnode with a 69. That Frontier South Hadley matchup, here you go. Mikey Cordoff ends up with a 43. Kyle Maynard with a 44. Gunnar Moore with a 45. Brian Bauman with a 47. Rowan Blair with a 50. And Kaylin Evans with a 55. So we are all done with 4 of the 5 days of last week here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. We're getting into our final day, which means that we're going to get into football and other scores. And I'll even throw in a couple of things that happened over the weekend, too, if we have time. I hope we can get that in by the time we get done with the end of our show. I am your host, Bobby C. So glad you're here. Thank you, 4 Leaf Clover Restaurant. Thank you, Denny's Pantry. Thank you, Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services. And thank you to Sean Hubert of Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls. Johnny Meisner and Philippe Simone. You the man. You the men. All right. Glad to have you guys. All right. Let's get right into it. Friday. Football. Friday football, man. That's good stuff around here. People are loving it. Turners Falls. They cruise in Powertown. It was called the Powertown Cup. People were saying the Powertown Cup. What's that? It's when Turners takes on the Tech School, and it was all thunder in this one. Let's talk about it right now, where Turners Falls dominated in this victory. They have some amazing players on this team. Well, last season came down to the last 51 seconds to decide it, but it wasn't like that this time because it was surely all about the Turners Falls team with their 35-12 win over the Tech School. The Thunder, they rattled off their 6th straight win to solidify a hold atop the Northern Division. What about this guy? I'm going to mention his name because everyone knows him. His name is Wyatt Keith. What a year he's had. The workhorse. Ready for this? 33 carries, a touchdown run in each quarter, covering 5, 1, 2, and 6 yards respectfully. Kyle Dodge also threw for a 16-yard pass to Andy Craver. That was just before halftime. Things just got really sweet in this one. I'm telling you right now, Keith, him and R.J. Bird, they are the 2 nasty runners right now in the league. So a nice victory for the Thunder. They end up pulling off that win over the Tech School, who, by the way, the Tech School, they didn't do so bad themselves. And their quarterback, Owen Barshaw, he's ended up doing really well for their team. And I got to give that kid credit where credit's due. He has worked hard. You know, when you talk to their coach of the tech school, Joe Gamache, he says, we definitely got outmatched today from a talent and experience standpoint, but our kids battled, and they played with a lot of heart and passion. And you know what? That's all you can ask for. And with a young team that this team is, they're young. They are just working on getting better. What more can you ask for? Bashaw ends up going 6 for 14 passing with 55 yards. And we want you to know that Kiana Rodriguez ended up having 14 yards, and McClure had 12 more yards. So a couple of nice passes in there as well. Tyler Lavin, he's done a great job kicking those extra points. Dodge ends up 5 for 9 passing for 78 yards. Jaden Whiting ends up with 52 yards. Craver, 2 catches for 26 yards. And it turned out to be a nice win for the Thunder. Well, Frontier, they had to be able to continue their winning to be able to try to get a good spot in the playoffs. Of course, you want to try to get as close to the top as you can. Well, they ended up getting beat by East Hampton. 2 losses in a row. They lost to Turners. Now they get beat by East Hampton 29-20. And I'll tell you, it was a tough loss for this Red Hawks team who is hoping for things to really rebound for them. Want you to know that Ito McMillan ended up having a nice 9-yard run. He ended up with 103 yards on the day. McMillan also had a 7-yard run. Hildreth ends up with a 34-yard run. And here's some of the numbers for you. In rushing, it looks like Garrett DeForest, 18 carries for 48 yards. Josh Samaski, 3 carries, 13 yards. Alec Kirkendall with 4 carries for 10 yards. Hildreth goes 6 for 15 on the day with 32 yards and an interception. He also was able to have a touchdown as well. And looks like McMillan and Blight and Hebert also did well for Frontier. Well, the Wave, you want to talk about the game of the week? The game of the week in high school football this week was Greenfield versus Athol. And I'm going to tell you what, it ended up sort of coming back to not help the Wave, even though they won. So people are saying, well, they won. Why would it affect their, the standing for them? They won. Well, the way that this was set up in this 4-team playoff that they have a chance to play in Division 8, going into the game on Friday, they were the number 3 seed. And then the 4th seed ended up being Hoosick. Well, they did the switch. After Hoosick pulled off with a big victory, Greenfield just barely getting by this Athol team. They switched spots this week. So now it's Lee first, 2nd Turners, 3rd is Hoosick, and 4 is with Greenfield. But Greenfield ends up surviving anyway, and it was because of a guy by the name of R.J. Bird, setting a single game record of the season. Check this out, folks. And I'm not stuttering when I say this. Are you ready? 39 carries, 347 yards on the ground with 5 touchdowns for R.J. Bird. That baby is not going to get broken for a while. Let me say that again. 39 carries, high school football, 5 touchdowns, and rushes for 347. R.J. gets the Bobby C. kudos of the week. Wow, they put a lot of pressure on this kid, and he came through. But you want to know what I love about this? R.J. Bird said something that really impresses me about the maturity that he has this year. He said if it wasn't for the offensive line of Nick Lyons, Cam Lackey, Julius Brewington, Colby Avery, Brody Baird, Kenny Adams, they're the ones that gave me the holes to be able to get those yards. To me, it's about the big guys. When the big guys open the holes and the guy with the talent that can run like a deer can get it done, you get results. R.J. Bird, huge week, my friend. Great job for you and your team in picking up the victory. By the way, folks, the final score of that game was close. How about this? 44-38. The Wave needed to score late, and they did. And I'll tell you, it turned out to be a big win for them. You know, when you talk about some of these kids, they'll tell you straight up that this guy is an incredible back. He really is. But his coach also said that he told the kids that it's going to be a defensive battle tonight. And the kids looked at him like he was joking, and Coach Kacheski said, no, I know these kids from the other team. And look what happened. Final score, 44-38. The Wave picks up the win. Owen Phelps, nice job by him. He always has done a nice job being able to control things as the quarterback for the Wave. Also, you got to hand it to Danny Nooney Vega. He's had a great year, too. You know, great defense throughout the year, too, by great guys like Hunter Campbell, who's been able to get things done. He also was able to do a nice job with some of his squib kicks that have come up big for Greenfield. They have to beat Belchertown on Friday. If they beat Belchertown Friday, they punch a ticket, baby, into the playoffs. Can't wait to see the Wave and Turners in playoff play. Well, Ware had no problem taking on the Warriors, and boy, it was almost an embarrassment and I just feel so bad because it's really not about saying that it's an embarrassment that way. I'm just saying that with the victory and the way that they dominated made it tough. And you know, when you talk to their coach, Doug McLeod, he's undermanned. Has nothing to do with anything but that. He has talented kids that are on this team. It's just they're undermanned. There's not enough guys out there. Final score was 29-6. He goes, we got beat by a better football team tonight. We did some good things in the beginning of the game, but then we just couldn't stop anybody after that. The Warriors are now 1-5 on the season, 1-3 in league play. Tell you right now, though, their quarterback, Davenport, has done a nice job for them. And Davenport ended up going 5 for 13 with 81 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Walker led the ground game, 9 carries for 42 yards for Mohawk, which they will return because they got their big booster day. That'll be coming up with a game against Palmer, a team I think they could beat. Well, as we get into some of the good old shining stars, we talk on Friday about how great this Greenfield team is. Well, let me tell you something. They had to take on Frontier Girls again. Yep, they did it earlier in the week. They won 2-1. This one was a nice win for the Wave. They took care of business against their biggest rival. They held off Frontier 3-0. Nice win for them. I'll tell you right now, things are really falling into place for this Greenfield team right now. 9-0 in league play, 15-1 overall. They just keep doing what they do. And I'm going to tell you something. Big stars do shine in the biggest games. And how about this? This is just unbelievable. Reagan Hickey just gets it done time after time after time. And she continued her hot play for her team. I can tell you right now that Greenfield ends up winning the corners 12-5. They won shots on net 7-2. Sam Smith with 2 saves, Skylar Berniski with 4 saves. Hickey picks up a couple of goals. Kacheski picks up a goal. Hazelton picks up an assist in the victory. Greenfield continues their hot play. Very talented program. Well, the Warriors ended up handing the Rams a rare loss. That was a big talk in field hockey. Yes, it was. They continued their winning ways. They are working their way. Playoffs, baby. Look out, because Coach Hopner and her girls are cruising along right now. 11-5 overall, 6-3 in league play, knocking off the Southwick Rams, who were 13-2-1, and they were undefeated going into this matchup, and they get beat by a very good Warriors team, 4-1 in Buckland. Nice win right there for them. You know, one thing that Lynn Hopner said in this one is that we got outstanding play from our seniors. Shelby Sinister, Caitlin Johnston did a great job. These other girls are really stepping it up when we need it. This is the reason why our team is doing so well. I have been very impressed with this Mohawk girls team. I've been always impressed with Greenfield girls, but I'm really impressed with this Mohawk team on how they've come back since the beginning of the season. Pioneer, they end up knocking off Holyoke in a nice win for them. Congratulations, 1-0. And it looks like Jenny Fuller notched the goal to pace the win for Pioneer. Belchertown ends up beating the Tech 2-0. Girls volleyball, it was all Mahar in this one. They end up winning 3-0. Avery Johnson led the way for Pioneer, ends up with 4 aces, 1 assist, 1 kill, and 3 digs. Autumn Flagg recorded 4 assists and 2 kills. Looks like Cambria Johnson ends up rounding out the scoring for Pioneer, 5 assists, 2 kills, and a dig. Hopkinton ends up knocking off Frontier in a very tough, you want to talk a Division I powerhouse taking on the small school of Frontier? Well, those girls from Frontier almost won. They lost 3-2. They end up losing game 1, 16-25. They win game 2, 25-20. Win game 3, 25-16. They end up tying, and then they go into their 5th set where it was 15-10. So, wow. Great job, Frontier. Love to see how hard they work. Looks like Turner's Falls knocks off Greenfield in volleyball on Friday. Taylor Murphy blasted 6 kills, added 10 digs to help Turner's Falls to the victory. 25-11, 25-12, and 25-14. Lindsey Whiteman added 5 aces for the Thunder. Teammates Hannah Wells and Dabney Rollins finished with 4 kills apiece. I can tell you that the couple of people that led the way for the Wave include Lexi Rao. She finishes with 3 aces, 5 digs, and 7 assists. Denise Montajo ends up with 4 kills, 3 digs, and 3 aces. Dugan knocks off the Franklin County Tech 3-1. Summer Gaddro continues her great play this year for the Tech School. 2 aces, also 5 kills, 4 digs, and a block. She also had an assist on the day. Kelly Trudeau ends up with 6 aces, 1 kill, 1 assist, 2 digs, and 2 blocks in the loss. And Renee Reed ends up with 4 kills, 2 aces, 3 digs, and 1 assist. Well, in girls soccer, it was Pioneer over Smith Folk. Final score 3-1. Hey, look out. This team is on fire. And watch out because Azima has been getting it done. As Amina Chichion and Paige Loffman, they got the goals for the Panthers, assisted by Sammy Martinez. Also, Leah Fuse ended up earning the win in the net for Pioneer. She knocked away 9 shots. Boys soccer, Frontier with a big win over Chicopee, a game that they needed, and they win 2-1. This was a game that had like a playoff atmosphere to it, and it was a great way for them to be able to continue their way in to the playoffs. Peter Bronke, he played well in the net, ended up with 10 saves. Pioneer knocked off Greenfield. Congratulations to them, 4-0 win. There you go. They're getting it done this year. Congratulations to the Panthers. Let's run down a couple of scores that we had over the weekend. Saturday in boys soccer, Frontier knocks off Drury 6-0, 1 step closer to playoff play. Cross country, it was Mohawk. They end up tying Gateway 28-28. Also in cross country, it was McCann Tech and Frontier, where Frontier cleaned house and Mohawk ends up beating Gateway 15-50. Girls cross country, it was Frontier, no problem, over Granby. There you have it, folks. Busy week in sports. Lots of teams making playoffs. Playoffs will start next week. So when we come back and talk about the show, we'll talk about the final week of regular season, and then we start getting into playoffs. A lot of excitement coming up in the next 2 weeks here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us. Want to thank our sponsors, the 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. And by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls. For John Meisner, Philippe Simone, I'm Bobby C. We're here at GCTV every week. Check us out on Facebook as well. We're on the FCAT in South Deerfield, too. It's an exciting place to be, and we're excited that you're a part of it as well. Remember, support your local athletes.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game, and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.